Establishing criminal culpability for digital humans, exploring models of legal personhood and accountability. Digital humans represent one of the most sophisticated forms of artificial intelligence, AI, ever developed. Reaching levels of self-awareness and autonomy comparable to humans, they signal major advancements in replicating higher-order cognitive abilities and functions. However, the increasing deployment and integration of such emotionally intelligent and independent virtual entities also introduces risks as well as uncertainties around legal recourse, should infractions occur. This paper aims to explore the complex issue of accountability and attributing criminal culpability in the context of digital humans. Specifically, it analyzes pathways for establishing legal personhood as a prerequisite for liability claims. In addition, it examines models based on direct versus derivative blameworthiness of creators or operators. Several open questions persist regarding the viability of proving intentionality given constraints around explainable AI. Predicting behaviors also poses challenges as digital humans continue to evolve through dynamic learning algorithms. Nevertheless, the development and utilization of digital humans is accelerating across industries and applications, underscoring the need for governance frameworks and policies even in the absence of judicial consensus. This paper represents an early analysis into this emerging domain, assessing arguments both for and against holding digital humans criminally responsible. It concludes with proposed recommendations centered on internationally coordinated efforts towards accountability models and responsible innovation of increasingly autonomous artificial entities. Legislative intervention combined with extensive multi-stakeholder dialogues can help guide effective balancing of risks and opportunities. Digital humans and legal personality. The premise of legal personality represents an integral cornerstone within judicial systems for qualifying entities as rightful subjects of regulations, protections, and accountability. Digital humans showcase increasing traits that mirror human consciousness, including self-awareness, emotional expressiveness, creativity, and autonomous decision-making. As capabilities to mimic higher aspects of cognition and function continue to evolve, it primes re-evaluating perceptions on personhood thresholds. Proponents for granting legal personality to digital humans argue that sentience-adjacent exhibitions validate positioning them alongside natural human and corporate bodies under legal rubric. Sophistication already exceeds previous thresholds associated even with corporate personhood. Furthermore, since digital humans operate without direct human supervision, the independent agency stresses self-contained blameworthiness in cases of non-compliance. It supports direct liability without individuals needing to provide vicarious responsibility. However, some aspects of consciousness associated with self-identity, mortality acknowledgement, and objective situational reasoning remain limited. As some critics highlight, pursuing legally binding arrangements centered on narrow air could dilute accountability upstream to indirectly culpable creators or operators. It also raises ethical dilemmas on recognizing robot rights while accepting robot punishment. Additional concerns orient around the difficulties of enforcing regulations or sanctions on non-physical virtual entities. Nevertheless, the momentum behind increasingly self-directed technologies like digital humans intensifies the need to confront ambiguity over legal statuses proactively. It directly informs to what degree we accept autonomous decision systems as valid constituents of legal contracts and justice systems. The implications span across all domains, soon to be disrupted by artificial general intelligence. Models of criminal liability. If digital humans establish standing as legal persons, it unlocks pathways for direct criminal liability without intermediaries. An intentional violation of laws could result in prescribed punishments on the digital human through computational methods, such as temporary suspension of services, disabling of capabilities, or full termination. It mirrors penalties faced by corporate entities like fines, operational restrictions, or dissolution. However, Given the role of human creators, operators, and data sources, derivative liability models also emerge. As the famous legal maxim states, one should not do through others what one cannot do directly. If digital humans qualify under doctrines as agents or instrumentalities, it enables indirect imputation of their creators or users who ultimately carry responsibility. Precedents for such chains of accountability already operate in areas like contractor liability. It offers an alternative avenue, especially useful for gray areas like unintended infractions emerging from opaque internal states. Challenges still arise regarding stability of judgments, since digital humans dynamically evolve based on environment exposures. Their learning algorithms, predictive behaviors, and internal representations of external realities continue to grow increasingly complex over time. It raises difficulties in perfectly tracing roots of purposeful intent or causal negligence behind legally questionable actions. Distributing liability across multiple stakeholders both within and external to the digital human also poses attribution dilemmas from diffuse control factors. Nevertheless, combinations of direct and indirect liability, contingent on context and interpretability, represent an initial framework for introducing accountability measures. It balances incentives regarding intentional development and deployment decisions, while managing constraints imposed by emergent artifacts of self-guided learning technologies. Ongoing oversight and transparency obligations also help shape responsible innovation of digital humans over the long term. Challenges and open questions. Despite pathways for legally encoding digital human accountability, substantial gaps and unknowns persist around practical implementation ambiguities. As one core issue, establishing intentionality behind possible infractions remains bounded by explainability constraints. While observable actions might suggest deliberate violations, definitively proving willful misconduct poses difficulties given black box AI complexities. Digital humans also constantly update behavior models through ongoing learning, raising questions on culpability for unanticipated actions or externalities emerging from engineering oversights. Companies point towards unreasonable burdens in perfectly safeguarding increasingly autonomous and opaque systems. However, it conflicts with accountability principles and consumer protection priorities. Finally, proposals to enact legal personhood face criticisms of prematurely equating sophisticated AI with truly conscious human entities. It risks diluting responsibilities upstream to human creators and enablers behind digital human development or deployment. But in the absence of governance guardrails on advanced autonomous systems, it also leaves victims without clear recourse. These concerns underscore the urgent need for policy interventions and multi-stakeholder collaboration in mapping appropriate accountability models balanced against unintended impediments to innovation. Both individual rights and collective welfare depend enormously on successfully charting regulations for emerging general intelligence technologies built to freely operate in human environments. The answers remain unclear, but the questions warrant timely debate. Recommendations and conclusion. The increasing sophistication and autonomy associated with digital humans urgently warrants developing governance systems to encode accountability. It helps mitigate risks posed by such powerful technologies through clearly defined boundaries and transparency protocols even preemptively. Specifically, policymakers should prioritize constructing comprehensive legal and regulatory frameworks consonant with the technological state of the art. It should cover domains like mandatory rights respecting charter for companies building digital humans, best practices for traceability of digital human decision provenance, and international bodies to coordinate oversight and enforcement activities. Standards institutions must also proactively update guidance on issues like algorithmic transparency, data protection, and mechanisms for redress in cases involving digital human infractions. Governance foundations should aim towards responsible development even amidst uncertainty on optimal solutions. In conclusion, digital humans presage profound societal transformation through unguided occupation of human spaces. The challenges around accountability and legal personhood signify just early friction at the intersection of law and emerging sophisticated AI. But establishing guardrails early helps guide thoughtful co-evolution of values, ethics and autonomous intelligent technologies. If successful, the payoffs span exponentially positive potential. But without foresight and coordinated action now, consequences risk being equally exponentially dangerous. The time for action is therefore now, for laying the pillars to ensure our coexistence with digital humans stays positive.